Just a bite, please. The millionaire saw her eyes and everything changed in a heartbeat. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is now. Subscribe to the channel and let's get started. The restaurant hums, a soft clatter of plates and murmurs under paper lanterns swaying like fireflies. David Chen sits alone at a corner table, his fork tracing circles in untouched mashed potatoes. His suit, crisp and dark, hangs loose on a frame worn thin, his eyes carrying a decade's loss. At 35, his sharp features are shadowed, grief a subtle veil. He lifts a glass of water, sips, sets it down. The routine is his armor, each motion precise. Outside, the night presses against the glass, cicadas singing in the warm air, jasmine sweet and heavy. A young woman slips through the door, her steps quick, deliberate. Chloe Davis, 19, cradles her son, Leo, against her chest. Her hazel eyes, tired but fierce, scan the room. Her hair is pulled into a messy bun, her worn jacket clinging to her slight frame. Leo, 8 months old, fusses softly, his small hands clutching her collar. She hushes him, a whisper like a breeze over rice fields. Chloe hesitates, then moves toward David's table. The other diners, businessmen, couples, fade into the hum. She stops, her breath catching, and her voice trembles, soft as a reed. "May I have your leftovers, sir?" No plea, no shame, just a mother's love, raw and unyielding, for the child in her arms. David freezes, his fork midair. Her words cut through his haze, sharp, unexpected. He looks up, meeting her gaze. Her eyes hold no pity, only quiet strength, a dignity that stirs something long buried. He pushes his plate forward, the scrape of ceramic loud in the stillness. "Take it," he says, voice low, clipped. Chloe nods, a single dip of her chin, and kneels to set Leo, an afraid carrier, at her feet. Her hands, steady despite their wear, move with care, wrapping the food in a napkin. She tears a small piece of bread, softens it with her fingers, and feeds Leo, her touch a gentle anchor. The boy quiets, his eyes bright, trusting. David watches, his breath faltering, the act sacred, not charity but survival, a love he once knew, now flickering in this stranger's hands. The restaurant fades. Chloe rises, Leo in her arms, and murmurs, "Thank you." She turns, her steps quick again, slipping into the night. David's hand twitches, reaching for nothing. He stands abrupt, leaving cash on the table, and follows her shadow. The street is dim, lined with sagging shops, jasmine lingering in the air. Chloe's figure moves ahead, her battered car parked under a flickering street lamp. The hatch is open, a blanket draped inside, her home on wheels. She settles Leo in a nest of clothes, her movements swift, practiced. David stops, hidden by a tree silhouette. Her life, laid bare, is a world he's never touched, raw, unpolished, alive. His empire, his routines, feel hollow against her quiet fight. He steps back, pulse racing, as Chloe climbs into the car, her silhouette curling around Leo. The engine sputters, then fades into the night. He returns to the restaurant, the lanterns still swaying. His plate is gone, the table wiped clean, but her whisper lingers, a stir in his core. Chloe's eyes, fierce yet steady, saw through him. Not his wealth, not his mask, but the grief beneath, like a village elder reading a stranger's heart at dawn. He sits, staring at the empty space where her shadow stood, knowing she holds a secret, unspoken, that binds them already. David drives through the city, the skyline a blur of steel and glass, his hands tight on the wheel. The restaurant lingers in his mind, its lanterns a beacon in his grief's fog. 3 nights he's returned, sitting at the same corner table, his plate untouched, eyes scanning the door. Chloe's whisper, "May I have your leftovers, sir?" echoes, a pulse in his chest. Her face, fierce yet steady, haunts him, a flicker of warmth in a decade's shadow. He parks, strides in, the clink of dishes sharp against the cicada's hum. The waiter nods, familiar now, setting down water, his tray steady. David's suit is crisp, but his fingers drum, betraying the calm he wears. He watches the door, the street lit by a flickering street lamp. No Chloe, no Leo. His breath falters, her voice pulling him from his haze. 10 years since the accident, 10 years of building an empire to drown the silence. Yet her dignity cracked that wall. The door opens. Chloe slips in, Leo asleep in her arms, his cheek pressed to her worn jacket. Her eyes glint, landing on David. She hesitates, then approaches, her breath shallow. "You're here again," she says, voice soft, a reed bending in the wind. David pushes his plate forward. "For him," he says, clipped, gesturing to Leo. Her lips twitch, a gleam of thanks, and she kneels, settling Leo in his carrier, her hands steady, wrapping the food, bread, a slice of chicken, with care. They talk, halting, brief. "Odd jobs," she says, her gaze fixed on Leo. "Cleaning, deliveries, whatever pays." Her words are light, but her eyes carry weight, shadows of nights in her car, of hunger pushed aside for her son. David listens, his fork still, drawn to her fight. "Your family?" he asks, voice low. She stiffens, chin dipping. "Gone," she says, a single word, sharp as a blade. He nods, knowing that kind of loss, the kind that carves you hollow. She shifts, adjusting Leo's blanket. "My dad," she says unprompted, "worked construction, big projects years back, always talked about safety, how no one listened." Her voice trails, a memory surfacing like a fish in a calm stream. David freezes, his pulse quickening. A decade ago, a faulty traffic light, a crash that stole his world. Her words align too closely, a splinter in his mind. He pushes it down, but the unease clings, a shadow in the street lamp's glow. Chloe rises, Leo stirring, a soft whimper breaking the hum. "Thank you," she murmurs, her gaze meeting his. It's brief, but her eyes hold a knowing, as if she sees the grief he buries, the man behind the suit. She turns, slipping out, her steps quick against the pavement. David stands abrupt, leaving cash, and follows, drawn to her shadow. The street is dim, the air warm with summer's breath. Her car, battered and parked under the street lamp, hums as she settles Leo inside. He watches, hidden by a shop's awning, as she hums to Leo, a lullaby soft as moonlight, her hands smoothing his hair. The hatch closes, the engine sputters, and she's gone, taillights fading into the night. David stays, the cicadas loud, his mind churning. Her father's work, the timing, it's too close, a tie binding her to his pain. He walks back, the restaurant's lanterns dimming as the staff locks up. Her silence, her guarded words, carry a truth she hasn't named, a song half remembered in the dusk. He sits in his car, the city's pulse loud but distant. Chloe's life, her fight, her love for Leo, is a world he's never touched, yet it stirs a warmth he'd thought lost. The street lamps sway, the hum of the night pulls him back to that moment, her whisper, her strength. She knows more than she says, he's sure, a secret hidden in the spaces between her words, like a calm stream holding shadows beneath its surface. David cuts through the city, his car a sleek shadow under neon lights. The restaurant pulls him back, night after night, its warmth a faint pulse against his grief. Chloe's face, fierce, steady, burns in his mind, her whisper a blade through his decade-long haze. He parks, strides in, the clatter of plates sharp, the air alive with cicadas. His table waits, a plate of untouched rice and fish before him, his eyes on the door. His suit is crisp, but his hands tremble, betraying the weight of her words. Her father's construction work a splinter in his memory. The waiter nods, tray steady, a familiar face now. The door swings open. Chloe slips in, Leo cradled close, his gentle breaths against her worn jacket. Her look gleams, finding David's. She hesitates, then moves to him, her steps quick, deliberate. "You're always here," she says, voice low, a breeze over a calm stream. David pushes his plate forward, a silent offering. "For Leo," he says, sharp, gesturing to the boy. Chloe nods, kneeling to settle Leo in his carrier, her hands steady, wrapping the food, rice, a sliver of fish. Each motion a mother's prayer. They talk, words clipped, urgent. "How do you manage?" David asks, leaning forward, his fork still. Chloe's chin dips, guarding her heart. "I don't," she says, a half laugh, bitter. "I just keep going. For him." She glances at Leo, asleep, his fingers curled. "Pregnancy cost me my family," she adds, voice low, a wound unspoken. "No home, just us." David's pulse races, her absence echoing his. 10 years since the crash, a faulty light stealing his world, leaving him hollow. She shifts, tucking Leo's blanket. "My dad," she says unprompted, "worked on big projects, traffic systems, city stuff, said the bosses cut corners, ignored his warnings." Her words spill, soft but sharp, each one a stone in David's mind. A decade ago, a malfunctioning signal. The night his life shattered. Her father's words linger, a question David tucks away, unresolved. His breath falters, the truth gleaming in her silences, a splinter he can't ignore. Chloe pauses, her gaze distant. He tried to fix things, she says almost to herself. Told them the lights weren't right. They didn't listen. He carried that. Her voice fades, a memory surfacing like moonlight on a lotus pond. David grips the table, the weight of her words sinking deep. Her father's warnings, ignored, led to the night that changed everything. Not her fault, not his, but a shared wound, hidden in the spaces between them. She rises, Leo stirring, a soft babble breaking the hum. Thank you, she murmurs, her eyes meeting his, fierce, sharp. The starlight through the window catches her face, and for a moment she's not just Chloe, not just a stranger, but a mirror of his grief, her strength a quiet echo of warmth he'd thought lost. David stands abrupt, cash left on the table, and follows her into the night. The street is dim, the starlight's gleam fading, the air warm with summer's breath. Her car, battered, waits under a flickering lamp. He watches, hidden by a shop's shadow as she settles Leo in a nest of blankets, her lullaby a whisper against the cicadas. The hatch closes, the engine sputters, and she's gone, taillights swallowed by the dark. David stays, the city's pulse distant, his mind churning. Her words, her silences, weave a truth he can't unsee. Their absences are tied, her father's unheard cries a link to his shattered past. He walks back, a cook waving, familiar, as David leaves. The restaurant locking up, its warmth dim. Her face, lit by starlight, shifts in his memory, no longer just a stranger's. She's a piece of his pain, a kinship forged in grief, like a familiar face seen anew under a calm sky. Chloe doesn't know the full weight of her words, but David does, and it reshapes her in his heart. Not a girl in need, but a soul bound to his by fate's fragile thread. David races through the city, dawn's first light glinting off glass towers, his engine a pulse against the night. Chloe and Leo fill his thoughts, her resolute eyes, his small hands, a glow piercing his chest. He passes the restaurant, lanterns dim, her shadow lingering. The hospital's stark glow looms, her terse message, help us, burning in his mind. Sent from a number scribbled on nights ago. He swerves, tires screeching, toward the address, the city blurring. The emergency room buzzes, fluorescent lights harsh as trapped flies. Chloe stands by the desk, Leo limp in her arms, his cheeks flushed, eyes half closed. Her jacket hangs loose, her hair a messy bun, but her gaze is steel, locked on the receptionist. He's burning up, she says, voice trembling, a read under storm winds. 104 degrees, please. The receptionist, cold, taps a screen. No insurance, no treatment, she says, flat, dismissive. Chloe's shoulders sag, her arms tightening around Leo, a mother's fortress. David bursts through the doors, suit wrinkled, eyes blazing. Treat him, he demands, voice steel and fire, leaning over the desk. The receptionist blinks, startled. Sir, we need... Now, he cuts her off, slamming a hand down, or I'll ensure he's treated, whatever it takes. The room stills, heads turning. Chloe's eyes meet his, wide, a flash of hope breaking through fear. The receptionist stammers, calls a nurse. Leo is whisked away, Chloe trailing, her steps quick, desperate. David follows, his pulse a drumbeat. The waiting room smells of antiseptic, chairs hard under flickering lights. Chloe sits, hands twisting, staring at the floor. Why? She whispers, not looking up. Why help us? David hesitates, throat tight. Because I can, he says, clipped. But his eyes linger, seeing strength in her, trust in Leo, a warmth he'd thought lost. Her father's story echoes, urging David to dig deeper, later. She nods, a dip of her chin, and silence falls, heavy as a village dusk. A doctor emerges, face calm. Fever's breaking, she says. He'll be okay. Chloe's breath escapes, a soft sob, her hands covering her face. David's shoulders ease, a knot unraveling. He steps closer, hesitant, and rests a hand on her arm. He's strong, he says, voice low. Like you. Chloe looks up, her eyes resolute, bright, a glance carrying 1,000 thanks, a bond forged in this stark room. David pauses, her strength stirring a longing to stay close, a new path forming. They wait, the night stretching thin. Chloe speaks, voice soft, halting. I thought I'd lose him, she says, staring at Leo through a glass window, his tiny chest rising. I've lost everything else. David listens, his own grief stirring like leaves in a gentle stream. "You haven't lost him," he says, sharp, urgent. "You fought for him." Her lips twitch, a flicker, and she nods, her guard softening. David's mind churns. The truth of her father's role in his past, a shadow he can't shake. The faulty lights, the crash. It wasn't her fault, but the thread binds them, a fragile weave of grief. He watches her hands smoothing Leo's blanket, her love aglow in the dark. His wealth, once a shield, feels different now, a tool to protect this boy, this woman who've cracked his heart open. Chloe rises as Leo is brought out, swaddled, awake. She cradles him, humming a lullaby, her touch a soft anchor. David stands, awkward but drawn to them. "Thank you," she murmurs, her eyes meeting his, resolute, bright. The hospital fades, the city's hum distant. Her gratitude, her fight, stirs a memory. Leo's coo echoing a warmth from years ago, a bamboo bridge between then and now. He walks them to her car, the night air heavy with jasmine, the receptionist waving, softened as they pass. The battered hatch opens, blankets inside, her world laid bare. "Get some rest," he says, voice taut. She nods, settling Leo, and drives off, taillights fading. David stands, the hospital's glow behind him, his heart turning. Chloe and Leo are no longer strangers, but a tether, pulling him from his grief's deep well, their lives woven into his by a moment of fire and need. David cuts through the city, dawn breaking over glass towers, his car a sleek arrow aimed at a new purpose. Chloe and Leo fill his thoughts, her bright eyes, his small hands, a glow piercing his chest. The hospital's glow lingers, her whispered "thank you" a pulse in his chest. He pulls into a quiet street, a modest apartment building rising where her battered car once stood, now sold, its weight lifted, a step towards stability. He'd arranged it days ago, a key pressed into her hand, her nod sharp, wary. Her hospital fight lingers, drawing him daily. David reflects, his hospital urgency a desperate need to protect, not control. Chloe opens the door, Leo on her hip, his fever gone, eyes bright. Her gaze brightens, her hair pulled back, her faded sweater soft against her frame. A neighbor, kind-eyed, greets Chloe near the apartment. The apartment smells of fresh paint, sparse but warm. A couch, a crib, a toy truck David left yesterday. "You didn't have to," she says, voice low, a reed bending in the wind. David shrugs, hands in pockets, suit less crisp, eyeing the city, wondering how his wealth could mend more lives. Chloe studies him, his care easing her guard, a trust born of his steady presence. She eyes his wealth, not a savior, but a tool, its power softened by his care. She sets Leo down, his toddle unsteady, and pours tea, willow shadows swaying through the window. They sit, the table small, the silence heavy. "Why keep helping?" she asks, eyes bright. David's fingers tighten on the cup. "Because I see you," he says, sharp, urgent. "You fight for him." The words slip out, raw, a confession of kinship. Chloe takes evening shifts, her pride unyielding, balancing Leo's care. Leo explores the apartment, his toddle steady, finding home in new corners. Her gaze softens, a trust glow, and she nods, her guard cracking. He visits daily, bringing groceries, a blanket, a book for Leo. Each act is small, deliberate, a bond weaving him to them. Chloe thaws, her words less guarded, her laughter, rare, radiant, stirring hope in his chest. One evening, he sits cross-legged, Leo in his lap, learning to bottle feed, the boy's fingers curling around his tie. The doctor checks Leo, confirming his strength. Chloe hums a lullaby, her voice a gentle stream, and David's heart aches, a wound and a balm, the past stirring but no longer crushing. The waiter nods, recognizing David as he passes the restaurant en route, mentioning a park stall, a fresh start. At home, David digs, discreet, his empire's reach unearthing records from a decade ago. The crash was no accident. Faulty traffic lights, a firm's negligence, and Chloe's father, a voice ignored, warning of the danger. The report is cold, clinical, but it shifts David's heart, a truth both sealing and deepening his bond with her. Not her fault, not his, but their griefs are tangled, a lotus blooming in muddy waters. He sits with her one night, Leo asleep, the apartment lit by a single lamp. "Chloe," he says, voice soft, "your dad's work. It's tied to my hurt." Her stare sharpens, hand stilling on a mug. He tells her, traffic lights, ignored warnings, the night his world shattered. I didn't know, she whispers, voice breaking. He carried that guilt too. Silence falls, a twilight hush, her hand reaching, brushing his, a shared grief binding them. David's care deepens, no longer just aid but presence. He reads to Leo, his voice firm, the boys sparkle a coup. Chloe watches, her trust growing, her strength no longer solitary. You don't owe us, she says one day, folding laundry, her eyes resolute, bright. I know, David says, stacking blocks with Leo, but I need this. The words are raw, and her nod is a quiet vow, their bond a bridge over grief's deep well. He lies awake, the city's pulse distant, the truth a weight and a release. Chloe's father didn't cause his pain, but their stories are woven, a fragile tie of fate. Helping her honors the past but unveils a deeper rift. His heart, once locked, now aches to belong. Leo's laughter, Chloe's hum, are ripples in the quiet well of his soul, drawing him to a life he'd thought lost. Chloe tucks Leo in, her lullaby fading, and glances at David, a question in her eyes. He stands awkward, but stays, the apartment's warmth a tether. Good night, she murmurs, her gaze holding his, a glow of something new. He nods, stepping into the night, the city alive. Their bond, born of a whisper and a plate, is no longer just compassion but a family forming, a crack in the well where light seeps through. David weaves through the city, dawn's light cutting through morning mist that clings to the streets. Chloe and Leo anchor his thoughts, her resolute eyes, his small hands, a tether through his grief. The apartment's warmth, her quiet lullaby, Leo's sparkle. They've cracked his grief's shell. Months pass, Chloe's strength steadying their days, Leo growing. The truth of her father's role in the crash, ignored warnings, faulty lights, sits heavy, a lotus in muddy waters, binding their losses. The diner's glow fades as they drive to her parents. Tonight, he drives to her, a resolve burning, to name the pain, to weave their broken threads into something whole. He knocks, the apartment door creaking open. Chloe stands, Leo on her hip, her hair loose, her sweater light against her frame. Her glance brightens, a question glimmering. You're early, she says, voice a reed in the wind, stepping aside. The room smells of tea and laundry, a single lamp casting shadows. David's suit is rumpled, hands unsteady. We need to talk, he says, sharp, urgent, his gaze holding hers. She sets Leo in a crib, his babble fading, and sits, hands folding tight. About my dad, she asks, chin dipping, guarding her heart. David nods, throat tight, and sits across, the table small, the air heavy. Your father's warnings, he starts, voice low. The traffic lights, they were ignored. That night, 10 years ago, it took my family. His words spill, raw, each one a stone in a gentle stream. Chloe's eyes still, a shake in her lip. I didn't know, she whispers, voice breaking. He never said, just carried it. She grips Leo, the crash's truth heavy. I wish I'd known, she murmurs, her father's pain now hers. David leans forward, hands clenching. It wasn't his fault, he says, fierce, but it connects us. Your loss, mine. They're tangled. Her breath catches, a sob swallowed. He tried to fix it, she says, soft, distant. Told them the system was wrong. They fired him for it. Her father's eyes darken in her memory, hands clenching, but her mother's touch would have steadied him. We didn't know, she adds, voice hoarse, the weight of his guilt hers. David recalls the reports, cold pages naming her father's unheard voice. Helping her now, he thinks, honors the past, a step toward peace. Silence falls, a twilight hush. Chloe's hand quivers, reaching across, brushing his. I'm sorry, she murmurs, eyes wet, unwavering. David shakes his head. Not yours to carry, he says, voice rough, but her touch is a tether, grounding him. They sit, the lamp's glow soft, Leo's breath's a quiet rhythm. I see a strength in you, David says, raw, unprompted, and life in him. He nods to Leo, a sparkle in the dark. His sincerity, seen before, opens her heart now. Chloe's lips twitch, a glimmer. You're not just helping us, she says, piercing. You're here, with us. David nods, throat tight, the truth a gentle reckoning. He's not saving her, not redeeming himself. He's finding home, a family born from loss. The apartment, small and warm, feels like a hearth, its spark pulling him from grief's deep well. He rises restless and steps to the window, the city's pulse faint. Your parents, he says, turning, voice sharp. They should know you, know Leo. Chloe stiffens, eyes dropping. They left me, she says, bitter, a blade's edge, when I needed them most. David kneels, level with her. Let me help, he says, urgent, his hand grazing hers. Not for pity, for him. He glances at Leo, her anchor, her fire. She nods, slow, trust blooming like a lotus in dawn's light. Days blur, David's resolve a steady drum. He tracks her parents, his empire's reach unearthing their address, a modest house an hour away. He delegates his empire, its demands fading, his focus on them. He signs papers, funding a shelter, Chloe's courage his guide. A neighbor volunteers at the shelter, inspired. He drives Chloe and Leo, her silence heavy, Leo babbling in the back seat, morning mist fading. The house is weathered, a sagging porch under vines. Chloe hesitates, Leo in her arms, her breath shallow. David stands close, a quiet pillar. You're enough, he says, low, fierce. She nods, steps forward, and knocks. Her mother opens the door, gray hair loose, eyes stilling. Chloe, she gasps, hands quivering. Her father follows, weathered, his face a map of guilt. Silence stretches, a stream holding its breath. Chloe's voice breaks through, soft, resolute. This is Leo, she says, lifting him. Tears spill, her mother reaching, her father's shoulders sagging. They embrace, Chloe's sob muffled, Leo's murmur a bridge over years of pain. Her mother's eyes drop. We failed you, she whispers, voice cracking. Shame over your choice drove us away, she admits, voice heavy. Chloe hesitates, their absence a lingering sting, then softens. Forgiveness a quiet choice. David watches, apart but bound, his heart stirring. The reunion is raw. Regret, love, time lost. Chloe's mother cups Leo's face. Her father's hand rests on Chloe's shoulder. Her parents glance, his wealth a distant hum, respected. David steps forward, voice low. There's something else, he says, sharp, urgent. He tells them, the crash, the lights, their son's unheard warnings. The air stills, her father's eyes darkening, hands clenching. I tried, he says, broken. Her mother steadies him, a quiet nod. We didn't know, she murmurs, hoarse. Grief binds them, not blame. Chloe's mother reaches for David, a quiet blessing. You brought her back, she says, soft, fierce. David shakes his head, eyes on Chloe, Leo. She brought me, he says, raw, a truth laid bare. They sit, talk, the night deepening, vines rustling outside. Chloe's parents hold Leo, their laughter a sparkle, their shared pain a family mending. Later, David steps into a local studio, the receptionist, moved by his fire for Leo, softening her tone, waving as he passes nearby. On a quiet broadcast, he speaks, voice soft but raw. A mother and son showed me a path forward. The words, simple, shift whispers in the city, his grief no longer a locked room. David drives them back, Chloe quiet, Leo asleep. Thank you, she murmurs, her hand brushing his arm, a glance unwavering, piercing. The city hums, the apartments glow waiting. He parks, carries Leo's bag, his steps light. You're not alone, he says, voice rough, standing in her doorway. She nods, a glimmer in her eyes, trust a steady flame. He lies awake, the city's pulse faint, Chloe's lullaby echoing. The home he sought wasn't a place but a feeling. Her strength, Leo's murmur, a family forged in shared grief. The truth of their losses, once a wound, is now a bridge, like a spark glowing in an unexpected corner of the night. David walks through the park, dawn's light spilling over dew-kissed grass. Chloe and Leo are beside him, her steps light. Leo, nearly 2, toddling, his truck in hand. The city hums, distant, but here, under jasmine-heavy trees, the air is still, a village stream at rest. David's suit is gone, traded for a soft sweater, his shoulders loose. The past weight lighter now. Chloe's hair is a messy bun, her sweater soft. Shelters rise, neighbors offer aid. The shelter, volunteer neighbor, familiar. Nodding, warmed by Chloe's smile. Chloe's earnings buy Leo's books, her resolve fierce. Her car gone, Chloe's path is now home. They stop by a still lake, lotus blooms swaying. Leo chases a butterfly, his chirps bright, and Chloe laughs, a sound like reeds in the wind. David watches, his soul alight, a warmth from years ago woven into this moment. Her strength, his trust, alive in Chloe and Leo. David sees Lily's smile in Chloe, Ethan's trust in Leo, his past woven into now, healed. The past months blur, the apartment's warmth, her parents' tearful embrace, their shared truth about the crash. His empire hums, managed by others, freeing him. Grief binds them, not as chains but as threads, a family forged in loss. David kneels level with Chloe, Leo tumbling into his lap. "Chloe," he says, voice rough, urgent. "You didn't take my leftovers." His eyes glisten, holding hers. "You gave me a family. You woke me." Her breath catches, her hand smoothing Leo, grounding herself. "You didn't have to stay," she murmurs, clear, piercing. He shakes his head, a radiance in his gaze. "I needed to. You showed me what it means to be alive, to be needed." Leo tugs David's sleeve, chirping, "Daddy!" The word lands like a stone in a still lake, ripples spreading. David's throat tightens, tears falling, and he scoops Leo up, holding him close. "I love you, son," he murmurs, voice breaking, his other arm pulling Chloe near. Her eyes glisten, no words needed, her touch a vow. The park fades, the city's pulse gone, just them. Three souls tethered by a whisper, a plate, a night of fire and need. Chloe's parents watch from a bench, their silence a blessing. Her father clasps David's shoulder, murmuring, "You carried it too." Her mother whispers, "We'll visit weekly," braiding Leo's hair, a vow, their faces soft, mended by Leo's laughter, by David's truth. Their past shame fades, regret now love. They rise, joining them. Leo giggling, reaching for his grandparents, bonds growing. Chloe leans into David, her warmth a hearth, and he breathes, steady, whole. The crash, the lights, her father's guilt. They're not erased but shared, carried together like lights in a village dusk. The sun climbs, light dancing on the lake. David's hand finds Chloe's, fingers lacing, a quiet promise. No ring, no grand gesture, just presence, raw and true. "You gave me everything," he says, low, fierce, his voice a prayer. "A future." She nods, a shine in her eyes, trust a steady flame. The waiter, vending snacks, and a cook, vending nearby, smile. The receptionist, a park regular, grins. The doctor, checking park goers, nods warmly, their gestures silent threads in their story. Leo runs back, arms wide, and David lifts him, Chloe's laughter joining, a melody soft as dawn. They walk on, the path curving under trees, jasmine sweet in the air. The city waits, but here, time slows, a moment held like a breath. David's grief, once a locked room, is open now, its shadows softened by Chloe's strength, Leo's love. Healing isn't complete, but it's shared, a tender dawn breaking over their unscripted family. Leo points at a bird, his babble bright, and Chloe hums, her lullaby a thread tying them to the earth. David smiles, tears dry, his heart a quiet well where light seeps through, peace settling like the first rays on a rice field. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that hope can be found in the most surprising moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Love Story. We bring you stories that touch the soul, renew your belief in kindness, and highlight what's truly important in life.